What's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And this is an interesting topic that I discovered today that I wanted to discuss with you guys. And it just seems like now that T-Mobile has gotten Sprint's 2.5 spectrum, nothing else matters as much as it used to. And what I mean by that, when the DSS technology was first discovered, Neville Ray stated that it wouldn't be such a big or drastic improvement on the 5G side because now they got the 2.5. And we all know that AT&T and Verizon are going to make use of the DSS technology. Now, Neville Ray has came out and said that small cells are kind of a nightmare. And now that they have that 2.5 spectrum, that small cells are not the top priority anymore in terms of the build outs, because now they can fill a lot of capacity with just the 2.5 on the macro sites. And he said that any engineer will tell you pushing that to the macro sites is far more efficient on both network side and money side as well in terms of costs. Now, again, with this small cell strategy, we all know AT&T and Verizon are going to push the small cells to the limit, especially Verizon with the millimeter wave strategy. They're going to push, they said it this year, by 5 times over previous years in terms of how many small cells they actually incorporate into their network. So I will leave this article in the description down below so you guys can check it out for yourselves. It's from Light Reading. So you could say this is another network update. But there was a virtual conference today that where Neville Ray spoke, Wells Fargo Virtual 5G Forum. And he says there's going to be, he's pretty much saying there's going to be less focus on small cells because now they have the additional spectrum to push on the macro sites to really boost capacity far better than pushing out the small cells. And what he's also stating is right now getting the permit approvals between different jurisdictions and cities and counties is a nightmare. And Verizon and AT&T are going through the same thing. And so that's what he's pretty much saying, where the focus lies now is with the 2.5 rollout, because it can push more capacity into the area besides just the small cells. Here in El Paso, T-Mobile has managed to push out around 145 to 150 small cells, strand mounts. Of course, that work started far before they even closed this merger or were even given the approval to close the merger. So it was needed in this market because they have such high market share, which is very unusual for smaller cities. So far, T-Mobile has only really pushed the small cells in the bigger metro areas like New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago. But now it seems they're also working in the more smaller cities like El Paso. But El Paso is unique in terms of the smaller cities because T-Mobile has such a high market share here. So they had to push out the small cells, not for coverage, but for capacity. So again, to make use of the small cells for T-Mobile makes sense down the line, because if they also want to incorporate the millimeter wave, the small cells bring the connection closer to the user end, the cell phone. So that's a much better connection, especially since millimeter wave does not travel as far as a 2.5 connection. But I guess you could say what they're saying makes sense early on. You push the 2.5, which is going to cost a lot of money anyway the first 3 years. They plan on spending that $40 billion to over the next 3 years, and some of that is going to go towards building 15,000 new macro cell sites nationwide. So that could be additional density. It could be 15,000 additional cell sites to catch up to coverage in terms of geographical footprint. Because although they may not have such great density in some areas, that 2.5 is going to allow them, especially with the HPUE, is going to allow them to push that signal close to the coverage of 1.9 band 2 PCS. So they're going to be able to push that out much further and allow a lot more people that are further away from the cell site to get on that connection, because now they have the capacity to push the speeds. Does it really help for the signal improvement? Not really. It's kind of what AT&T is doing here. They have the higher spectrum, so they built less density. But as soon as I go anywhere indoors, I'm right back to 1 to 2 bars, and speed's not that great. So it is better for the network in terms of how fragile LTE is, and 5G could potentially be, to build that density so you have the higher signal strength even when you're indoors. and speeds are pretty much not suffering as bad as if the cell site was further away. And it helps with uploads as well too, because once you have a cell site closer, you're able to take advantage of the additional 64 QAMs and sometimes even 2 carrier aggregation on upload, instead of the cell site being further away. Once the cell site is further away and you're not in line of sight, you really can't make use of that technology anymore on the upload, because upload is much more fragile compared to downloads. So let me know what you think about this. This article will be in the comment section down below. It is a longer article, so you guys can read it. There's some very interesting points that Neville makes, and I personally would have to agree. If within the first 3 years, taking that 40 billion and putting 2.5 on a network is going to be a much bigger improvement on speeds compared to fighting with each individual city and county to getting small cells approved and then having to pay for that and push that out. So it's worked here. Don't get me wrong. It's worked in El Paso because they have almost half of the market on their network. So they had to push that out to keep capacity going. But in a lot of areas where they're struggling with getting permits approved, and sometimes you don't even want to clear that hurdle because it's just such a pain. So adding the 2.5 on existing sites is going to make the customer experience just that much better. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I want to hear from you guys, so sound off in the comment section. If you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you have been on the channel, you can go ahead and end the video now. If you are new, make sure to hit the notification bell so you are notified through YouTube. Also, if you have a Twitter, make sure to follow my Twitter. I do post the videos on Twitter as well. So you have 2 options to push notifications to get notified when I do upload. YouTube every now and then drops the ball, sometimes even as long as a week. So make sure to follow the Twitter. It will be in the description down below. And this is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.